Hey everyone, and welcome back to the X-Ring. So the title of this is Are You Ready? Now this is a complete departure from anything that I normally put on the channel, and this is not to talk about or capitalize off other people's misfortunes. You guys know that I'm in Western North Carolina and we were hit with catastrophic flooding and winds, and it destroyed a lot of people's homes, and a lot of people have lost their lives not only in Florida and Georgia but also in Western North Carolina. It hit us really hard. I've never seen this level of devastation. I'm not in a region where I've ever been exposed to tornadoes or anything like that. I believe they did have some little micro tornadoes, and the amount of destruction was incredible. I'll try to show you some of that footage as long as it's just, road stuff. I will tell you, we just came back. I was in Austin, Texas with Surefire doing a private event at Staccato Ranch. And I didn't know that the storm was coming. Basically, call it a perfect storm. It was a tropical storm that came up, followed by the hurricane. And they were projecting 20 to 30 inches of rainfall within a day and a half. Now, keep in mind, that's a lot. That's more than most states are going to see in an entire year. Now, Western North Carolina does get a lot of rain in the first place, especially where I live. But to get that much in a short amount of time, now you're talking about mudslides, you're talking about extreme flooding, and it actually reached like 500-year flood level marks. But the reason I wanted to do this video is, and guys, I am not a prepper, okay, at all. Some people might say that I am. I would say I'm more prepared than what you would call a prepper. But, no one has power here, okay? Like no one. There's millions of people without power. And the other thing is there's no cell service, okay? The only reason I'm able to have cell service and still communicate with you guys, not so much this, but I can upload using Starlink. I actually have cell phone service using Starlink. It is ironic that a month ago I talked about Starlink and how it works. Now, if it's one of those that you've got fiber and all that other stuff, then of course you'd stick with that, but having, satellite-based communication really does change things. But it really got me thinking because, guys, I'll tell you, it was a long trek. Basically, I left Austin, Texas yesterday morning, and it was, I think the plane flight was 11 o'clock. Well, it got canceled. Then another one got canceled. Then they got me on another one, it got canceled. And everything kept getting canceled, but ultimately I found a way to get into Charlotte, which is decently close to Western North Carolina. Figured I would rent a car and all would be good and I could drive home. Well, surprise, surprise. I get to the airport, I was trying to do this on the plane. Everyone was sold out of rental cars. Now, ironically, I do have a relative that lives in Charlotte, and he came to save the day. I gave him a call. I said, hey man, I'm in Charlotte. Is there any way you can pick me up? He goes, yeah, absolutely. So he picks me up. I take him home and he goes, take the car, do whatever you need to do. You're good to go. I've got another car. I was like, all right, awesome. So I get in the car at approximately 3:30 p.m. Now, it only takes about 2 hours to get to Western North Carolina from Charlotte. Well, I didn't roll in here until 4:30 this morning. That was 13 hours later. Not only were all the roads blocked off, but if you needed fuel, you weren't getting any, or if there was a place that was open that actually had power, number one, it was going to be cash only. And most people don't carry cash. I always carry a little bit of cash on me, and so that wasn't an issue, but the lines for the fuel were like a mile long. Now, this was literally 60, 70 miles away from Western North Carolina. Well, while I'm going up the interstate, I get stuck in a traffic jam where they're trying to clear the interstate, and it took us about 3 hours to go 1 mile. Now, talk about frustration when you can't go anywhere or do anything. But I was like, man, if I wouldn't have topped off with fuel, what would have happened? I'm one of those that you'll never find any of my vehicles with less than a half a tank. It's always got a half a tank or more. It is actually more economical, especially if it's a fuel vehicle. But even the electric cars, I keep those at full tilt. Now, my wife knows how to run the generator. I have a full home generator. I'm going to actually show you this. Now, guys, I don't need the latest, greatest, Generac looking thing. I want something that's 100% reliable that will run when it needs to. So I was able to gravity feed this so it doesn't need any power, it doesn't need anything, doesn't need any pumps. I actually ripped out all the circuits to make it come on, once a week to test it. I'll just manually test it myself. And basically I can power my entire house pretty much 24/7 for about a month. Now, so, you know, if you're conserving it and you're turning it off in the evening when you don't need it or anything like that, and not everybody can do that, and I understand, but there are a ton of generators out there where you can, you know, put them straight into your panel. It's pretty simple. But do you have the fuel on hand? You know, just this afternoon I tried to go get some fuel just to have some more on hand. I usually keep quite a bit on hand, but you do have to burn through that or put some type of, you know, fuel stabilizer in it if you're just going to keep it. But ironically, my dad's truck was out of gas. Well, I've got fuel for that. And so it's one of those things, are you ready? Do you have food on hand to be able to just get through a couple of days? Do you keep enough cash on hand? Because that's one thing we found out here was no one can take cards. There is no self-service whatsoever. And so think about all the people that can't navigate now. They have no clue on how to navigate. They have no idea where they're at. And it was really something wild to see last night when I was driving through all these towns. They've enacted curfews. I got pulled over, I don't know how many times last night, and I was like, dude, I'm trying to get home. I'm getting home. You do what you got to do. I'm going home one way or another. And it took forever because everything was flooded out, trees were down, and eventually got home, but it took till about 4:30 in the morning. But what I saw was the just roving groups of people that were at gas stations that were shut down, that were parked, taking shelter right beside of the pumps so that they could be the first one there in the morning when it opened up. The amount of people that were out of fuel yesterday was insane. The rest areas on the interstate, you couldn't get another car on them. It was really crazy to see that, but I also got to experience a little bit of that. You know, right now you've got everybody that's nice, they're amicable, but when you get fuel and you start rationing that stuff, people start to get very testy. You know, someone would just go inside to go buy, you know, something to drink. They don't need any fuel, and people are like, you can't be jumping in line, and the next thing you know, people are yelling and shouting, and I'm like, yeah, this could go south very quickly, especially in a rural area, which we all know that's why most of us carry, right? But you know, just to protect ourselves and our family in that situation. But guys, it can get ugly very quick. I recommend you always have at least like 3 to 5 days worth of water, food, things like that to get you by, you know. And you know, me running this generator while I really don't have any neighbors, I don't know if that's the best thing, because everybody else is going to be kind of envious of you. And you know, there's two ways to categorize people in situations like this: the haves and the have-nots. And if the have-nots get so aggravated with their situation, they're going to try to take the haves stuff. It's just the way that it is. You know, like I said, just be ready, prepare yourself, not for any type of anything other than natural disasters like this. Nobody was planning on this, guys. This just came out of nowhere. You know, I'm not saying run out to the grocery store and go buy you bread and milk like everybody else does. Have some stuff that's freeze-dried, that's going to last you for years. You know, have stuff on hand and cycle it out if you don't. Go to Aldi, buy cans of, you know, of whatever, vegetables, corn, green beans, just so you have something to sustain. It was funny because I stopped at the gas station today and actually just wanted to go in and get a Diet Coke, and the line was, there was like 40 people in line. I'm not embellishing that at all. And they were just grabbing just hordes of candy bars and potato chips and things like that. And I was like, wow, you know, there's no grocery stores open. Do they not have anything else? They're going to live off candy bars for the next couple of weeks. It shouldn't take that long. It should only be a couple days or so, but honestly, they're estimating some places are going to be without power for, you know, a week or longer. It's really ravaged this whole area, and the amount of destruction and buildings and things that have been destroyed, just getting around is incredibly difficult. And guys, this is not going to be a video about showing you the most destruction I can possibly find you. It's just going to be like literally leaving the road that I live on. Just some basic stuff. So just everywhere you go, there's still going to be trees because everyone is just so overworked when it comes to the EMS. This isn't bad here, but just going around the corner, you're going to see it gets worse. Now guys, keep in mind, this is like a day and a half later, and you have all of these people trying to remove these trees like this. And you know, a lot of it's community people, some of it's going to be volunteer firefighters. But I mean, you literally have trees like this, like every couple 100 feet. Yeah, so a lot of stuff is starting to become passable, but they're just cutting out a little slot. There are no lights whatsoever. Here is, and like I said, some people want to take their chances and they go under trees like this. There's some power lines right there. Yeah, I'm going to drive over them. But literally, a car got crushed yesterday by one of these. I'm not going to go over there and show you that car or anything else. The guy was fine, but it literally crushed the entire front half of the cab. But it's like this every couple hundred feet. All right, so this gives you a really good idea of how everything is. It's just so bad. And like I said, this is a day and a half later. Now, what I'm going to show you here, guys, these are beautiful, beautiful sod fields. If you don't know what sod fields are, basically it's where they grow sod, multi-million-dollar, just thousands upon thousands of acres of sod, and they roll it up. Now, this is not supposed to be a lake. That's actually a really, really nice home that was just finished out. Yeah, guys, so this is not waterfront property. The amount of flooding, guys, look at that beautiful home just in the water. And if you look here, all of these, it's just incredible amounts of devastation. I'm not even going to try to get up under here because my truck will probably hit. Yeah, I'm not even going to do that, but it's like that everywhere. Now, the big thing that gets me is this is Saturday, and the amount of people that are on the roads is probably 4 times what it normally is. And I've come to the simple deduction that these people are out looking for fuel and food. That's it. Every gas station you go to, because they're not sightseeing. I mean, they might be. Maybe they're recording YouTube videos as well. I have no idea, but literally everybody's congregating at all the grocery stores and all the gas stations. That seems to be the extent of it. Churches are allowing people to take their campers and shelter there. Guys, there is one gas station up here. This is actually not that big of a line, but all of these people are just waiting to get fuel for no other reason other than to get fuel. And this is what I consider a very, very short line. It's got to be, more than this. And because it's cash only, you've got to go in, you've got to pay them the cash. They're not taking any cards or credit cards whatsoever. No one has power, so without the power, they can't run them in the machines, and it's just like this everywhere. And this is another thing too, like cars like this just pulled over on the side. I don't know if they're out of gas. They're like that everywhere, but the amount of traffic is just crazy for a road that's normally desolate. Once again, fields. And guys, we live really close to the French Broad River. That's all in this area of western North Carolina. And all of these tanks, you guys see these tanks? This was a propane tank facility. Look at that. Everything's just floating. Look at that. All those propane cylinders just floating on top of the water. Just crazy amounts of flooding and devastation. And here's another one. Guys, these are all corn crops. And I mean a lot of them, okay? Just hundreds of acres of corn underwater, okay? And it's all just like a lake out here. It's crazy. You're not passing through there. As a matter of fact, I've got a good friend that lives down this road. He is locked at his house. There's no way for him to get in or out. Every way is underwater like that. And so people are just having to shelter in place. School buses underwater there. All of those trailers underwater. Guys, I remember when they built this is a fire station underwater right here, but I remember when they built these houses, and I said, those houses are too close to the river. I remember saying that, and all of these right here are underwater now. Guys, look at that. And the water never even touches the bridge here. It's never even close. As a matter of fact, this isn't even the river. The river is here. Guys, you see that? And that's part of the French Broad. And this is the other thing too, people just come on around them like it's nobody's business, and you're doing 55 miles an hour and they're just coming around. It's like people aren't really giving way like they should. They just assume you know that they're going to come through. They just happen to be in your lane. I actually saw a vehicle hit a tree like that last night at around 2 in the morning when I was driving. There was a car in front of me that passed me like I was standing still and went head onto a tree that was laying over the road like that. So, you know, these people, I know, willful, wanton disregard, right? Got to plan ahead. Don't outrun those headlights. Just check down this road here. So there's no doubt this is going to be flooded because this is part of the French Broad, and you can see it just looks like a war zone through here. You can see the bridge. Might actually try to get out and show you some of this, but guys, this water is never even close to this bridge normally. And there used to be some other things here too, but it just shows you the amount of water and the volume that's coming through there. And guys, don't ever try to go over deep water. That is a big no-no. I've seen a lot of vehicles, even last night, washed away. But you can see all of these vehicles here where these folks tried to cross, and they're just stuck in the water. How's that? Just crazy. Just think about it. You don't have cell phone service. You don't know which roads are open. I mean, GPS can tell you to go this way, but it's not getting live updates. It has no clue. The other thing is you can't just go get cash. None of the ATMs, none of the registers are working to be able to make that communication. So it's cash only. And I can show you sign after sign after sign where it's just cash only society. So guys, be ready for anything. Take that little bit of extra preparation. It doesn't take much, doesn't take a ton of money, but be ready in case a natural disaster happens. Your family will appreciate it, and you'll live a much less stressful life if you can do that. Guys, I just want to bring that to you. I hope you have a great week. We'll catch you on the next one. See you.